Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Fox 10 News Now stream, part of fox10phoenix.com. We are just moments away from talking to our very own Jude LaCava, who is going to be breaking down some fun Cardinals breakdown right now, as we are now just days away from the first game being played for preseason. And we know it's preseason, but we got to get a little excited for the actual action to happen. And I love talking to Jude about Cardinals football because the guy's so knowledgeable when it comes to Cardinals football. He knows the team, he knows the area, and it's always fun to talk to him. So we're going to be talking to him in probably less than 3 minutes. I just wanted to come on here and welcome you guys to the stream. We're going to be covering everything today. We're also going to be talking about the Diamondbacks here locally too in Arizona, where they're at odds right now between the team and the county, Maricopa County, about trying to. The team wants upgrades to the facility, to the ballpark, but the county at this point doesn't want to foot the bill. So we'll talk about who should really pay and what's being asked about that whole situation in just a little bit. You're not going to want to miss it, folks. Stay right here to the Fox 10 News Now stream. Jude LaCava coming up next. All right, everybody, welcome back here. We're going to have Jude on in just a moment here, talking everything Cardinals football. We can't wait for the action to begin in just one moment. We're also going to be on Facebook Live, so get out your questions. Have them ready for Jude because we love to try to give as many questions as we can for Jude because he's so knowledgeable with Cardinals football that we'll have some great questions that you could give him and he can answer you right on the spot here. So Facebook Live right now, as well as fox10phoenix.com, part of News Now. And let's bring him in right now, the man of the hour, Jude LaCava. How are you doing, Jude?
Hey, Mike, what's happening out there on News Now? We're here, the quiet of the after practice, and you can see the field here in the background. We're at University of Phoenix Stadium, and another practice in the books where most of the energy, though, is really focused towards Friday night, where this place will be hopping as the Raiders come to town in preseason game number 1.
Yeah, this is really going to be something. And tell me a little bit about Carson Palmer today. He had a press conference that you saw.
Yeah, this was really something. I mean, I think when you look at the evolution of this organization, and we've touched on this a little bit during training camp, and we've talked about the history of the Arizona Cardinals when they came out here in 1988 and how this team really struggled, of course, at the College Stadium at ASU, and then the transformation since they've been here now a decade, and then, of course, that run from Kurt Warner to the Super Bowl. and then 35 wins in the last 3 years. Carson Palmer addressed the media today, and he made it very, very clear that he is extremely grateful for an opportunity. And remember where he was at. He was, he didn't want to play in Cincinnati. It was a horrible organization at the time. He was a cast-off there and said, I'm done with you guys. Ended up with the Raiders, and at the time the Raiders, maybe the worst organization in football. And then he comes here over 3 years ago under Bruce Arians, and he resurrects his career. And this past year, he becomes an MVP candidate. So today, he addressed the restructuring of his contract to where it extends into 2018. And, keep in mind, he's going to be 37. He's a guy that takes care of himself. He wants to finish his career here. He wants to retire a Cardinal. And he was so grateful for Mike Bidwell, for the staff, the commitment to excellence, to borrow a term from the Raiders, in terms of how they do things, whether it's the medical staff, whether it's the new facility, how they go about their business. And he says, I plan to retire a Cardinal. This has been a fabulous experience, the best experience of his football career. And he made it very, very clear in how appreciative he was to Mike Bidwell, to Bruce Arians, to Steve Keim, how this organization is run, their commitment to winning. When you look at salary cap flexibility, it's important. It's really the essence of the business end of football, the ability to ask for restructured deals and in the same breath try to sign key veterans and bring in guys that can continue to supplement your team. And more recent examples have been like John Abraham a few years ago, last year Dwight Freeney, and you ask some of the veterans to really work with you on that. And look, he's made a ton of money in his NFL career. He's happy to be with a winner, and he hopes to take this team to the promised land. So it was a very, very strong validation of the Cardinals organization, Mike.
Absolutely. And tell us, Jude, how big of a role that is to have some stability in a quarterback position for the Cardinals, because back in the 80s, it was like a revolving door that the Cardinals had for quarterback. Tell us a little bit about how having some stability there is amazing for the team.
Well, they couldn't find it. To go the other side of the story is that when Neil Lomax went down in 88 and 89, his career basically was done. It was like an ongoing audition for close to a decade. It was Gary Hogeboom. It was Tim Rosenbaugh who got hurt. I can go through Stan Gelbaugh, Mike Buck. Jim McMahon ended up here for a little bit when Buddy Ryan was here. You can look at one quarterback after another, Kent Graham, and then Jake Plummer came in, had a little bit of success, and then, of course, Kurt Warner in the era of the past decade. So this was not a destination. This is where you came and your career was buried. It was the graveyard of the NFL. I'm not going to kid you. I covered this team. You went to training camp at Flagstaff, and you knew this team was going to be like 4-12 or 5-11. They didn't have the talent. They didn't have the roster. They didn't have the talent evaluators. And what's happened in the time since Mike Bidwell has taken over is transformative. They've become a destination. They've become a place where Bruce Arians, two-time Coach of the Year, is a guy that you want to play for. Keim is a guy that will do what he has to do to try to make this a winner, and he's proven that. So it's I was asked this just yesterday, transformative from a standpoint that they were in the bottom third, maybe the bottom couple of teams for a couple of decades. Now they're in the top 3, 4, 5 teams and how they're run and the success they've had, at least in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yes. All right, we have our first Facebook question here, Jude. It says from Anthony.
Sure.
How is the offensive line looking? He notes that there's 3 new O-line starters since last year.
That's going to be the point of focus starting on Friday night against the Raiders. I watched DJ Humphries at practice today. He's really athletic. He got a lot stronger in the offseason. I thought he had a very, very good practice today, by the way, just in terms of what he was able to pick up. He's up against Marcus Golden quite a bit. He picked up a couple of blitzes in some of the rotations earlier today. Evan Mathis has been around a long time. He's a veteran that can assist DJ. And then you got to keep an eye on A.Q. Shipley, the new center. They've been in the league about 5 years. He'll be the starting center. And I think it's a point of focus to just see how it develops. Anytime you take 3/5 of your line, you add new personnel, there's going to be a learning curve. And I think with DJ Humphries, number 74, he's a guy you want to watch develop. I think for the most part, you're going to see him get more reps. The first team will be in there for about 10 or 12 plays, and then Humphries will probably stay in for most of the first quarter, maybe even in the early second quarter. Some of these young guys wanting to get more reps. He was drafted 2 years ago as a first-rounder, but this really is his first time as a penciled-in starter at right tackle. But I would say, you look at the left side, Jared Valdir didn't have the best season last year, but again, he seems to be on his game, and he has to be. He's got to go up against Chandler Jones, and then you got Mike Upati at left guard. So for the most part, it's a point to watch throughout preseason. No question about that. But I've been impressed with DJ Humphries so far.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch. Okay, our next question. All right, this is the all-important question. Here we go. Cristobal asking, do you think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year? Seems like a straightforward question, right?
Everybody, let me get like the Karnak envelope here and open it up. Look, I think that I'm a realist. I think that you have to have luck. You have to have health. Do I think they're in the top 3 or 4 when it comes to teams that have a shot at winning the Super Bowl? Absolutely, positively. They're a legitimate contender. You got to get lucky. You got to stay healthy. You can't have key injuries. But I think this marketplace that's now become an NFL town, they should be stoked. This is a really, really good team. I think on just the roster alone, this is the deepest football team. I've been around since they arrived in '88, and I would say to you, they're a top 5 football team that with a little bit of luck and the right kind of health is right there to make a deep run in the postseason. How about that?
Yeah, there we go. That's what we like to hear.
All right, the game or the team they're going to play.
There you go. All right. So for fans watching for Friday, what are some key players that they should be looking for on Friday for the first preseason game?
Well, I think you always want to see the first team come out and move the football, and you want to see a guy like Carson Palmer sharp right away. He's not going to play a lot, but I think that David Johnson's going to be the starting running back. He is really, he was so dynamic last year as a rookie, even better this year. Everybody's going to really enjoy number 31. I think the use of the tight ends, I think you're going to see more from Darren Fells and Jermaine Gresham as this offense continues to grow under Bruce Arians. And then on the other side of the football, Chandler Jones, 55. This is one of we haven't had a premier, and I mean premier, top 3 or 4 type edge rusher with this organization in a long time. And I go back to like a Simeon Rice who became kind of a sack artist and really flourished when he moved on to Tampa Bay. But he's in that top 5 category. And then I want to see Brandon Williams. He's the young rookie cornerback from Texas A&M. How he handles, he will start, how he handles that cornerback position. Tyvon Branch, number 27, is another guy they picked up, a free agent from the Raiders. He's got great speed. He seems to be a kind of a heat-seeking missile when it comes to making plays out there, so keep an eye on him. But those are some of the points I'll be looking for. Of course, I think when you look at players beyond that first team, it's going to be a battle for second-teamers and rookies. There's a guy by the name Chris Hubert from Fayetteville State we talked to today, number 19, little guy, very good hands. You might see him in special teams, punt return, kick return. He is a guy to kind of keep an eye on. I think when it comes to some of the other rookies here, for the most part, Evan Boehm will see some action along the offensive line. He's the guy they picked up from Missouri. But for the most part, I think you're going to be very impressed with the frontliners. Keep an eye on some of the young guys. This is going to be a tough roster to make. They're loaded. They're deep. It's going to be tough for a young free agent, undrafted rookie to come in here and make this team. And I think the other thing I'm kind of curious about is Drew Stanton. How will Drew manage the offense? He'll get some playing time in that late first quarter, second quarter. And then Matt Barkley. I think Matt Barkley is who comes out of this battle for number 3, and do they even keep 3 quarterbacks, Matt Barkley and Jake Coker? So that's something to kind of keep an eye on if you're really an aficionado of some of these younger guys trying to make their name and make this team.
All right there. Okay, our next question from our Facebook viewer, David, asking you, how does the running game for the Cardinals look this year?
The deepest running back core I think that they've ever had. And we talked to Stump Mitchell about this, and we're going to present a feature with Stump, who in his own right was an exceptional running back for the Cardinals back in the 80s and early 90s, along with O.J. Anderson. He went through each and every skill set of each running back. And you got David Johnson. You got Chris Johnson. You have got a guy like Andre Ellington, who I think can be still very effective on third down. And then you've got more depth with Steph Taylor, the veteran running back from Stanford, and then Kerwin Williams out of Utah State, who has shown flashes when he's been given an opportunity. Like I said, you can literally go 1 through 5, and you get a different skill set, but you get a talented contributor in the running back core. Like I said, this is the deepest running back core 1 through 5 that we've ever seen for the Arizona Cardinals. And David Johnson has the talent and ability, and I'll put this out there, Mike, that if he stays healthy, you're looking at a frontline all-pro running back because of so many things that he can do, whether it's catching the ball out of the backfield, hitting the edge on that toss play, blitz protection, he's improved. He's a breakaway runner. He's a very big version of a Larry Centers, and I think fans this year, provided he stays healthy, are going to absolutely be enamored with number 31, David Johnson.
I like that. That should be some fun people to watch right there. Now, tell us, is there a team or some teams on the schedule for the Cardinals that could cause some problems for them and look like a really tough competitive game?
Well, I think Seattle's certainly the main challenger here. I mean, look, they're the defending champs. The Cardinals are in the NFC West. But Seattle, I still think that their offense really popped up the second half of the season. They were a very dynamic offense despite a slow start, and they haven't figured out exactly how to use Jimmy Graham at tight end. But they're very talented. Russell Wilson proves that he didn't need the best offensive line. Their defense is still dynamic. So I see a two-horse race. I don't think St. Louis is ready to challenge when you get right down to it. I think if you look at San Francisco, that's a total rebuild with Chip Kelly. The Seahawks will be a formidable challenge for the Arizona Cardinals. That rivalry is going to be intense. It's going to be really, really passionate, and I think they're right there. I mean, never underestimate Russell Wilson, that Seahawks team. You know, New England comes in game one, and a lot of people say, well, they don't have Brady. But remember what Belichick was able to do with Matt Castle, really a journeyman quarterback, you know, and scratching out 9, 10, 11 wins. I mean, you never, ever look past the Patriots. They've got Martellus Bennett, and they got Gronk. I mean, you're talking about two power forward tight ends, 6'7", 6'8", down the seams. That's going to be interesting to watch. As far as the schedule goes, you know, look, anytime, you know, you have to go back east, it's a challenge. But I think the biggest challenge will be within the division, and I think it continues to be Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks.
There we go. There we go. Okay, we got a couple more questions here. And sure. Marlene wants to know, why wasn't Dr. Jen back this year?
Mike, what do you want? Dr. Jen, you know, I think that she's kind of gone on the speaking circuit, to be honest with you. She had a chance. She actually had some college job offers, I'm told, towards the early part of last season. One of them, if I'm not mistaken, may have been SMU, the Mustangs, but she opted not to pursue a college coaching job. But I do know she's doing some speaking engagements. She still has her sports psychology practice, and they're obviously trying out the audio system here.
Yeah,
right in the midst of our
that sound system
but
is
Jen,
legit.
Certainly had a chance to break through. Yeah, no, this is a great system, no doubt about it. You know, you must have some pull, Mike. They just turned it down. So this guy Mike's got some clout around here for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you know, Jen will. You know, I think she can coach if she wants to somewhere down the line.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that could be exciting as well. Yeah, you're right. She's definitely on that speaking tour, though. Anything else that you'd like to add, Jude, before we go?
Yeah, I think that, you know, there's been some talk about John Brown's concussion, and I think they're going to play it safe, which I think is the right thing to do. I mean, look, he's not the biggest guy in the world. He got rattled with that play early on in training camp, and I think they're going to play it safe. So I wouldn't be surprised if John Brown is off at least for maybe even another week or so. He won't play Friday night against the Raiders. Kemdiche came out of the boot, and I think he's probably about a week away at least to hitting the practice field. And then Tyrann Mathieu, I'm going to say maybe 2 weeks away. We'll kind of keep tabs on that. They're not going to rush him back based on the fact that they've got a big money contract extension. So they'll kind of play that safe as well. They know what these guys can do. They've been around the league a few years. So for the most part, when it comes to brain trauma concussions, you err on the side of caution. And I think they're going to do that with speedster John Brown.
There we go. Well, once again, thank you so much, Jude, for your amazing insight, and looking forward to preseason game 1 starting up on Friday.
Be a lot of fun. Raider fans bring a certain nastiness to town. We know that, and we'll be out here Friday. Thanks again, Mike.
Awesome. We're ready to bring it. All right. Thanks a lot, Jude. All right. Thanks again to our very own Jude LaCava. Now we're going to go to a Paul Ryan speech that he's going to be making in Wisconsin.
officially conceded yet. Right.
All right, everybody. House Speaker Ryan cruises to victory in the GOP primary. House Speaker Paul Ryan was projected to easily defeat a long-shot primary challenge from businessman Paul Nealon Tuesday evening. Ryan's victory is a blow to the GOP's populist wing, some of whom had criticized the speaker as insufficiently conservative. Nealon spent much of his campaign trying to tie himself to Donald Trump, but the Republican presidential nominee ended up grudgingly endorsing Ryan last week. So in a little bit, we will hear from Paul Ryan in Janesville, Wisconsin. This is Ryan's first re-election win since becoming Speaker last fall. He went into the primary with massive advantages in name recognition and money. Ryan had outraised the unknown Nealon by a 17-to-1 ratio through the latest reporting period and was largely ignoring his opponent and was expected to win easily.
Got it.
Trump changed all that the week before the primary when he tweeted thanks to Nealon for support while Trump was being vilified for remarks about the Muslim American parents of a U.S. soldier who was killed in Iraq. Trump also said he wasn't ready to endorse Ryan, who had joined in that criticism. Trump shifted course a few days later under heavy pressure from Republican leadership, but by then Nealon had gotten a burst of national publicity. Ryan responded with a blitz of radio appearances and added a pair of campaign stops the day before the election, determined to avoid the fate that befell House Majority Leader Eric Cantor when the Virginia Republican lost a primary to a little-known Tea Party-backed challenger. Ryan also worked hard to maintain his ties to the district, traveling back to his hometown of Janesville as much as possible to be with his wife and 3 children.
No, I've got 2 though, just in case this charger wouldn't fit in the bottom of it, the external charger.
I was saying it's a handful.
Yeah, no, I just have 1 work and 1.
Are we in the show or are we late? I don't hear anything, just so everybody knows that. I heard the mic checks, I hear nothing else. Okay.
Well, Steph, there are no cheering supporters here, as you may expect, to react to this news. Only reporters who are waiting for Paul Ryan to come out and hold a news conference. We were told it would happen after the race has been called. That has happened, so that should be any minute now. In the end, this was a lap. It was Little League Baseball. The Mercy Rule would have been applied.
Well, we are waiting here for Speaker Ryan to speak this evening. He's going to be doing a news conference. This is not a party, victory party or anything like that. We're waiting for him. He will take this podium sometime here in the next half hour. This race was called quite quickly this evening, within about 30 minutes after the polls closing in Wisconsin. That sort of shows you what kind of a blowout that we are seeing. Some margins in counties in the 1st Congressional District towards the eastern side of the 1st are showing huge margins. In Waukesha County, which often has some of the highest turnout in Republican primaries, the margin was in the 90-10 range. In Kenosha County, 75-25. That's actually a county that Donald Trump carried back in our April primary. So shows a little bit of the interesting dynamic that we're seeing in the race here, because of course this was not necessarily a race that anyone thought would be very, very competitive prior to some of the publicity that we saw last week when GOP nominee Donald Trump sort of waffled on his support of Speaker Ryan or not, and then ultimately endorsed him by Friday. So this is going to be interesting to sort of watch across the district, including here in Rock County, what the ultimate levels of support here were for Speaker Ryan. His popularity in this district fairly high, of course, and we should also possibly learn more about Speaker Ryan's favorability here in the 1st Congressional and statewide when we see a new Marquette poll tomorrow. But this is a race this evening that he has won handily. Victor, do you just need a heads up when he's back? Okay, great.
Timmy, you got a rogue cord caught up in your stuff. See that? You had
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Could you keep it on the podium and
External battery charger. Appreciate that.
Right.
What?
How long before Trump gets better? I told you it's so good. Because of my endorsement. It was so good.
Yeah. You bet. You bet. I'll just kind of wave in front of the camera. Okay.
Trace is the one doing it's 11, 20.
No, I don't really have any suggested questions because everything's going to come out of what Paul Ryan says. And I'd like to hear what Nealon says.
How about we just give it to them after Paul Ryan talks?
Toast her a couple of sound bites. Yeah, I like it. I'm trying to find it just on the phone. What Nealon said.
Correct. No guidance.
And by the way, I was there too for the first time. God, since I was a teenager, I know I went there a million years ago. But I went there as a somehow I thought that it's got to be commercialized. They kept it. Wasn't that fun? Yeah, my daughter was riding horses for a while, so she had a little feeling that she went to up there. We stayed at a hotel outside of where she was riding, but I thought, wow, that's up here where yeah, you're so close. You're real close to some of those houses have been in families for generations. Well, what? Years ago, for $4,000. That everyone needs to own a summer house. So you just find somebody else with a summer house. How much that money for? Yeah.
Much time we got?
We're looking at about 10 minutes. We'll have a firm 2-minute before we start.
You want to do that big audio check now?
We'll do that at the 2-minute.
And let's just say name and outlet, just like in DC and here too. Just make sure you do that. He'll call on you.
I'm gonna keep both mics open. Yes.
Yeah, just right.
This one halfway, and then Mike's set half right now. Go all the way when he stands up. Whenever you want. That was the cutest.
Make sure you know it. I can tell him, like, if you want. Yeah, if you can. Read that. I got it. take care of that. Okay, so I just want to make sure that everything's approved after the not free drop, not be able to find one.
Did I spell minute wrong?
What?
No, minutus. Minutes. Minutes.
Alright.
I just sent out a notice.
Did I spell minutes wrong? It looks funny.
You spelled it right.
Okay.
Why
What's
you
that?
saying, what is that for? Oh, to
Because
show
I'm going to do
the
that one,
camera.
because they're looking in the control room. You might not be looking at the email.
Do you know which control room it is right now? I'll just call the text. Hi, message from room 242. Which control room is on here? I don't know if anyone will talk to me or put me on there.
One last thing.
No, give a heads up to Ryan. All right. Does anybody even use the producer page? I used to read it. Okay, just tell them I'll be waiting for the phone call and no, I'll call Ryan. Yeah.
Checking the mic for Paul Ryan, press conference, 2-minute warning. 1, 2, 3. Sir, can we cut the light there in the back, please? Checking the sound, 1, 2, 3. Everybody good? This is your 2-minute warning.
Hey, welcome to the Armory, everybody. First of all, I want to say thank you and welcome to Janesville, Wisconsin. I want to recognize all the candidates who sought federal, state, and local offices in Wisconsin today. It's hard work, and I'm grateful that we had so many capable candidates to take part in the democratic process. I want to highlight one candidate in particular who was on the ballot in Wisconsin tonight, Mike Gallagher. Mike Gallagher just won the 8th Congressional District Republican primary. He is a Marine veteran with an impressive background in national security. The 8th District is a seat that needs to stay Republican. It's going to be a hard-fought race, and I am very much looking forward to campaigning with Mike during this fall in the campaign. I also want to speak to the residents of southern Wisconsin. On behalf of Jana, myself, and our kids, thank you. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your confidence. Thank you for your support in my efforts. I'm a 5th-generation Janesville native, and I've been honored to serve this 1st Congressional District since 1998. It's been one of the best experiences of my lifetime, and I'm humbled that so many want to see me continue to work on their behalf. People here, they know me well. They know I believe that to serve is to work to become part of the solution, not be part of the problem. They share my desire for political leadership that is inclusive, not divisive. They look at the horizon and they look for hope, not fear. Most of all, they want someone who works to effectively advance our founding principles. Look, there is a lot of real frustration in this country. There's a lot of anger that Washington just isn't working and that it seems irrevocably broken. The people want to see Congress and their elected leaders tackle our tough problems, not duck those tough problems. They're sick of the paralysis and they're hungry for results. And all too often, Washington fails to provide those results. In times as uncertain as these, it is easy to resort to division. It's simple to prey on people's fears. That stuff sells, but it doesn't stick. It doesn't last. Most of all, it doesn't work. Around here, we look beyond the noise and the static. Our strength comes from the principles on which our country was founded: self-government and liberty. Our inspiration comes from the notion that the condition of your birth doesn't determine the outcome of your life. And our desire is to see everyone get ahead and make sure that our children are left better off. And so because we want to bring people together, not divide them, because we want to break the gridlock, not perpetuate it, because we want fresh ideas, not outdated ideas, Republicans are offering a better way to fix this country's big, pressing problems. By taking a better way, we can reignite our nation's economic engine. We can lift people out of poverty and get them on the ladder of opportunity. We can restore our Constitution. We can have real patient-centered health care. And we can keep our country safe and free. This is how we turn this passion of the moment into a hard-won future, through ideas, through inspiration, through inclusiveness, through an agenda that we can be proud of, through an agenda that can unite people. So we will take this agenda to voters across this country this fall, and I am confident that they will reward our efforts. Between now and November, I am committed to doing everything I can to make sure that the status quo, which isn't good enough, is not continued, because we can do better. We are going to make the case that House Republicans are offering new ideas for a new day. And let it be known that we can't afford another 4 years like the Obama years. And let's be very, very clear. That is exactly what Hillary Clinton and her party are offering. We can get this country back on track. We can tackle our country's biggest, most pressing problems before they tackle us. We can restore the optimism that is there in that small business owner from Janesville. We can restore the optimism that's in the heart of that farmer from Elkhorn, that's in that worker that gets up at 6 a.m. to work tool and die in Racine, or that's in that college kid in Kenosha. They all want to find and reach their version of their American dream. And I'm going to do every single thing I can as their representative of the 1st Congressional District and as Speaker of the House to try and make that possible. I just want to end with this. I want to thank my employers, the people I work for here in the 1st Congressional District, for hiring me to fight on their behalf. I simply want to say thank you very much for your confidence. I appreciate it. Questions? How about some local guys? Charles Benson, I think I see you. Yeah, there you are. I thought I heard your voice.
You easily beat a guy who not only played the trump card on trade and immigration, but embraced it. Do you think your landslide victory here will send a larger message that even if Donald Trump can stay on message, that he's doomed in November?
Oh, I don't think it means he's doomed in November. I think it means right here in Wisconsin, people know me very, very well. Look, you know me very well, Charles. I'm a local guy. People know who I am. They know what I believe in, and they know I mean what I say, and I say what I mean, and I don't do it in a mean way. And I think that's the kind of politics, that's the kinds of policies that Wisconsinites, Republicans reward. That's why I think I won. I wouldn't ascribe anything other to it than that. How about Bauer? I just want to get some local folks. I thought I heard Bauer. Yeah. Okay.
Would you consider the presidential nomination in 2020 or even sooner, depending what happens with the Trump candidate?
That's not even a question I'll even bother entertaining. There's no point in having that conversation.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr.
Speaker from
You have spoken up against Donald Trump when you believe that he's distorting Republican principles in your view. What is your reaction today to Donald Trump saying that maybe Second Amendment enthusiasts could take...
I've been a little busy today. I heard about this Second Amendment quote. It sounds like just a joke gone bad. I hope he clears it up very quickly. You should never joke about something like that. I didn't actually hear the comments. I only heard about those comments.
And also 50 national security officials, Bush administration officials, in addition to Susan Collins, all are calling Donald Trump dangerous, too dangerous to leave this country. What is your reaction?
Look, I think it's very clear. The Trump-Pence ticket is going to be one that will put good judges at the Supreme Court, and we will find far better receptivity of our agenda that we're trying to get on track to fix this country's problems than the Hillary Clinton administration. That much we know. Frank Scholl, let me give Frank and then Kelly.
You must have been dying to respond to things that Mr. Neal was saying during the campaign. Would you like to respond to something?
No, I don't see any point of it. I don't. You get to the end zone, you act like you've been there before. You know what I mean? So.
Democratic opponents in this race?
I haven't even thought about that. Look, we knew we were going to do well. We received the vote that we were hoping and expecting to get all along. And that's just kind of how the outcome is exactly what we were hoping for and what we were expecting. And, you know, desperate candidates do desperate things for attention. I think that's what you saw here. Kelly.
Peter, thanks for bringing us back to Janesville again. It was good to be in your district.
Welcome back.
Congratulations on the primary victory. So now here's the Donald Trump question. You have been a protectee of the Secret Service and the U.S. Capitol Police. You know the seriousness of that. Do you think, when you consider your blank check comment, that you would not give the nomination of Donald Trump a blank check? Has he gone too far here when he's talking about matters of security?
You're talking about Manu's question?
Yeah.
I haven't even heard I'm not going to make a comment more than I just did, other than what I heard. No, I don't want to do it that way. I haven't even read it. I've been pretty busy today. The point I made before is, with any endorsement of anyone, they are never blank checks. Look, let me just say it this way. I believe here in Wisconsin we have a unified Republican Party. We have a unified Republican Party because we tell people who we are, what we believe, what our principles are, and what we'll do if we get elected. And then, like we had happen here in Wisconsin, we did it. That's exactly what we are trying to do here as House Republicans. We have taken our principles, liberty, freedom, free enterprise, self-determination, upward mobility, equality of opportunity, and apply them to the principles of the day and offered a better way, offered an agenda, so that the country, which does not like the path we're on, actually has a better path from which to choose. That's the kind of an agenda we're offering the country. We believe that's what people are hungry for in this nation, and that, I think, has been validated right here this evening in the 1st Congressional District. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody, that was Paul Ryan, House Speaker, who cruised to a victory in the GOP primary there in Wisconsin, speaking from his hometown of Janesville, Wisconsin. Taking some questions from the press there as he wrapped up his speech. All right, everybody. In just a little bit, we'll be hearing from our very own Mark Martinez talking about a story about the Arizona Diamondbacks in the county, Maricopa County, at odds right now over stadium issues with Chase Field. All right, everybody, now we're going to go to a press conference that happened earlier today out here in Arizona where a husband and a wife were charged for child neglect after they left their child to play Pokemon Go in Arizona. Let's show you that press conference that happened.
Voiles, that's V as in Victor, O-Y-L-E-S. I'm the Pinal County Attorney. On my side here to my right is the Chief Deputy Steve Henry from the Pinal County Sheriff's Office. And we're here today to talk about a case that has made a little bit of, got a little bit of attention in the media. The case deals with Brent and Brianna Daly. Yesterday we took a case to the grand jury, and the grand jury returned a true bill, and we filed an indictment. That indictment is for child abuse, a reckless offense, class 5 felony against both of these individuals. Now, Mr. Daly and Ms. Daly are presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty. The allegations are that the Dalys left their child unattended, and because of that, we took that case to the grand jury. I wanted to mention also, we talked about how safe Pinal County is for children, and we've made it the safest county in the state, just over 3.5 years. And when we see something like this, it's our duty to make sure that we continue to protect our children. And that's the heart of why we're doing what we're doing here today. So I want to thank you for attending. I also wanted to bring to light the decision that was made just recently in another case, and that's the Tyler Koss case, where we had a decision by the Court of Appeals. We had the Arizona Supreme Court come back, and the Arizona Supreme Court gave a stay. They did not give a decision, but they gave a stay, which means that the individuals who were released under what they call the Simpson 2 hearing now have to go back into custody as non-bondable until a decision is made by the Supreme Court. And that decision is something we'll be awaiting while Maricopa County Attorney's Office continues their appeal to the Supreme Court. That's all I have. I'm willing to entertain any questions. I want to give a few minutes to Chief Henry, and you can ask him any questions you'd like as well. Chief?
Thank you, Lando. So, in particular, this case that Lando talked about earlier with the Dalys, that case stemmed from an alleged act of parents out playing Pokemon Go. And everybody knows that's creating quite a stir in this country right now. It's very popular. You can go in any neighborhood at any time of the day or night and watch folks walking around with a cell phone stuck to their face, looking for objects in this virtual reality game. Is fun and entertaining, and it brings exercise to people that probably don't exercise sometimes. It's still something you need to be aware of. You cannot go out and play this game and disregard other things that are important, such as your children and other responsibilities that you have. We have more than one case where someone has walked off a cliff to their death because they're playing Pokemon Go. Walking in front of moving cars because they're playing Pokemon Go. Walking until they're dehydrated and having to seek medical attention because they're playing Pokemon Go. driving slower than normal in traffic at 20 or 25 miles an hour because it's part of this game to hatch eggs or something like that for Pokemon Go and creating a traffic hazard for everybody else. So as entertaining as this is, as popular as it is, I warn you and I put you on notice that you cannot be derelict to your other responsibilities in life as you go forward and play this game. There are serious consequences to this if you don't, and by fact that someone was arrested because they neglected their 2-year-old child and went out and played Pokemon Go and put their child at risk or harm is something that's very concerning to all of us. So be watchful, be mindful, be careful when you play this game. Thank you.
You know, I just want to add a couple things to the child safety. You know, we're in the thick of summer, and I know that Bill Montgomery has come out from Maricopa County, has come out several times and talked about the safety of our children and how imperative it is for the safety of our children. I want to emphasize that during the thick of summer, we have a pool that's enticing to our children. Children can drown easily in just a few inches of water. You've got to be careful with your children around water. Children in a hot car, animals in a hot car. Right now is the time where it gets extremely hot inside a closed door very quickly. And within just moments, you can have a child who has a temperature that is so high that it can cause death. So you've got to be cautious with your children, especially during the thick of things here in the summer when everybody's enjoying the outside, but at the same time, there's a lot of perils, as Chief Deputy Steve Henry just said. So thank you so much. Any questions we'd be willing to entertain.
Release said that DCS was involved. Is the child in DCS's custody still?
That's something that maybe Chief Henry could answer.
So the child was placed into DCS custody the evening of the alleged crime. As far as we know and the information that we have, the child is still in care of DCS.
And was DCS ever involved in any other prior incidents on this couple?
We don't have any knowledge that they were ever involved prior to.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
Sorry, what comes next for this couple now that they...
I'm sorry?
What comes next for this couple after they graduate from that?
Well, there's no more interaction with us unless they commit another crime. However, in the legal system, which is a better question for Mr. Boyles, there is a process. So I'll let him answer that question.
Sure, thanks for the question. The process now is that they typically await an arraignment. At the arraignment, they can enter a plea. Typically, it's of not guilty because they're presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty. And then from the arraignment, there will be other dates, court hearings set for a possible trial, and those dates will be set at the appropriate hearing.
So no dates have been set yet for the arraignment?
No, not at this date, not at this time. There's a time frame, and off the top of my head, I want to say it's 30 days, but it has to happen here fairly quickly.
Are they still in custody?
Did they make bond?
As far as custody issues, we won't answer. I won't answer that. Again, they're presumed innocent unless proven guilty.
Right. So through the system, yes, they were released on their own recognizance, and now that the indictment's been handed out, the process goes forward from there. Things can change quickly, or things can remain the same.
Great. Thank you so much.
According to CDC guidance, providers should consider testing all pregnant women. 3, amplify for the virus. It is also recommended that all pregnant women who reside in or travel frequently to the area where active transmission is likely occurring be tested for Zika in the first and second trimester, which can and will adversely affect resources. That is why it's of the utmost importance that our elected officials be aware of the Zika situation. Presently, there are 17 confirmed cases of Zika in Wynwood. Wynwood is a community within Miami-Dade where the Puerto Rican community began borinquen 45 years ago. It has transformed and changed into a beautiful cultural arts community. However, based upon the boundaries of where we are, many people still live below the poverty line and also predisposed to and typically more at risk of disease or injury. For these reasons, it's important that you are aware that the Zika situation, especially here in Miami, where our unique tropical environment with super hot and humid summers can have dangerous outcomes for our community at large. In keeping with Borinquen's mission of our founder, Emilio Lopez. Emilio Lopez was the CEO of Borinquen for 30 years, and he also led the charge for the creation of Borinquen. So our job as a FQHC is to provide the utmost quality of health care to the underserved, uninsured members of our community that all too often fall through the cracks in our healthcare system. Here at Borinquen, our focus remains on prevention and by continuing to update and educate our community on the best way to avoid mosquito bites in the first place. We are making sure that our community has all the information they need to stay protected by using all of the tools available to us, such as using our automated calling system, Athena Health, which provides info regarding Zika. Second, dispatching our outreach team, and we have a great one, into the community with flyers that have information on various methods to keep mosquitoes away and advising them of the free Zika testing. 3, amplifying our efforts through our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our very own newspaper called The Voice of the Caribbean. Also, by teaming up with AmeriCares, which has donated 2,600 boxes of Deep Woods insect repellent and will donate another 1,000 boxes this week to distribute to all. Special thanks to the Florida Association of Community Health Centers. And by working closely with a partnership with local Department of Health, which is providing free testing and monitoring the daily 2 p.m. advisory, we are better able to keep our community informed and prepared. Today, Secretary Clinton toured our clinic and met with our doctors and patients who are in the forefront of combating the Zika virus. Secretary Clinton has been raising awareness and calling for action on Zika since January, when she first learned about the disease, and it was an honor to have her to our clinic. In closing, this is National Health Center Week, and again, we are proud members of Florida Association of Community Health Centers and also the National Association of Community Health Centers. May I please introduce, and one more thing, we have member FQHC centers here present, and again, thank you and thank everyone for attending. And again, on behalf of our board and staff, bienvenidos, welcome Hillary Clinton, and also, we love to have you here, love.
Thank you so much, Paul, and it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here with all of you here at Borinquen, and also to have other health centers represented here. Thank you, Paul. I appreciate very much your leadership. He and I have known each other for a number of years, and it's great to be here at this facility. I also want to thank Dr. Deborah Gracia and Dr. Carla McGuire, Dr. Pedro Greer Jr., Dr. Aline Marty, all of whom are lined up behind me. Mayor Carlos Jimenez, Mayor of Miami-Dade County, thank you very much. I appreciate your being here. And all the dedicated physicians, nurses, researchers, and the entire medical staff of the centers here. I am delighted that I've just been able to come and see for myself and hear for myself what you are doing here, and I know we could be repeating that at a lot of the other health centers represented. You are on the front lines, not only on behalf of Zika, but on behalf of all of our public health challenges. And I am a very strong supporter of community health centers, of federally qualified health centers. I have publicly advocated that we need many more. We are making progress on giving people access to health care, but we need a broader network of health centers to be able to care for people, and particularly to serve as the safety net care providers. So I thank you for what you do every day, and for your being here and being part of the response we have to put together to combat Zika. So far, nearly 1,900 cases of Zika have been confirmed across the United States. Here, as you know, in Wynwood, we've seen the first cases of local transmission of the virus. And we are doing, as I heard, a lot here in the county and in the city to try to reach out to get more people to come in and be tested, particularly pregnant women. Just yesterday, a father wrote to me telling me that his wife is 23 weeks pregnant, and they were alarmed to discover that her office is in Wynwood. And of course, we told them to come here, come somewhere, get tested. Don't be scared, get informed. Find out, as I just heard from a woman that I met just a few minutes ago who is 4 months pregnant, find out what to do. Her test was negative, but there are additional precautions that need to be taken going forward to ensure a healthy baby. Just today, we heard the heartbreaking news that a baby girl born with Zika-related birth defects died in Houston. And so this is a serious challenge, and one that we need to be mobilized to address before it expands even further. I first learned about Zika last December. My daughter, who has a PhD in public health, was also pregnant at the same time. And she's the first one who said, this is a serious problem. Following the data from Brazil and South America. And she said, we need to get ahead of this disease because it's particularly dangerous for women, pregnant women, and their children. That's why, after hearing this from my daughter, I sent two of my close aides on a fact-finding mission to Puerto Rico, where more cases had developed. And as we know, the government there is under so much financial pressure. How were they going to deal with the challenge of Zika? I wanted to learn more and figure out what we could do to help Puerto Rico and what we could do more generally across our country. Right now, the most important thing is to follow the guidelines posted at cdc.gov/Zika. And I repeat that because, especially for the press, we don't want to unduly alarm people. We want people to become informed.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Fox 10 and News Now stream, part of fox10phoenix.com. I'm joined by our very own Mark Martinez.
Hey, Mike.
And you had a story today about the D-backs in the county kind of at odds. Well, they've been at odds for a while now.
Yeah, this is really, though, getting kind of ugly right now.
Yeah.
It's turned personal. We're talking about the Diamondbacks. They want about $65 million to start to make upgrades to Chase Field, or the stadium here in downtown Phoenix. They say it's outdated. It needs improvements from when it was built in the late 90s. Well, they want the county to pay for it. County taxpayers already paid to build it. The county says, we're done.
Yeah,
If you want to pay for upgrades, you raise the money on your own.
And what kind of upgrades are they seeking?
They want, well, they're saying they want some safety upgrades, but they also want some scoreboard type of things, fewer seats, because when it's not, it's not full very often.
They can't draw. They can't draw.
You've got a lot of empty seats, so there's like maybe an optics problem. They don't want to have a bunch of empty seats at games and things like that. So, it's been back and forth, but here's where it gets really ugly. The County Board of Supervisors, one of them in particular, Andy Kunasik, he sent this letter.
Okay.
He went to deliver this letter to the team to drop it off at the office there, leave it there for them. Just so happens to run into the president and CEO of the Diamondbacks, Derek Hall. They're in the parking structure, and they get into it. Andy Kunasik admits he went too far. He's the supervisor.
Okay.
He was saying things like, take your team and get out of here and that sort of thing. Not on the record, but Derek Hall then sent his own letter to the county board highlighting some of the things he said. And he's saying, if this is what you guys think of us, well, then we will. We will look at other options, and maybe we won't stay here. We'll go.
Sure.
If we're not welcome.
Wow.
So it's really kind of gotten ugly. So we broke it all down at 5 o'clock. I don't know if you wanted to show that now.
Let's show the story there that you had for 5.
And then we can chat about this afterwards, because it really is interesting to see what might happen.
Yeah, this is interesting. All right, let me just ring it up here. Here we go.
I do apologize for my choice of words, but not for my sentiment and my
passionate belief.
Maricopa County Supervisor Andy Kunasik says he's sorry for a recent confrontation he had with Diamondbacks President and CEO Derek Hall in a parking structure at Chase Field after Kunasik hand-delivered this letter to team management regarding $65 million in improvements to the stadium the team wanted the county to pay for. In the letter, Kunasik wrote to Hall, "As for your business, professional baseball is evolving into a parasitic enterprise which is well on its way to destroying its host." Then, in the face-to-face with Hall, Kunasik admits to saying, "If it were up to me, I'd let you take your stupid baseball team and get out. Take it all and go to bleeping West Virginia or wherever."
You know, it really came out of, I guess, some frustrations that I've had with the Diamondbacks and with the team, the management of the team.
Kunasik says he never felt taxpayers should have paid for the stadium in the first place, let alone the improvements. And the board did reject the $65 million upgrades, which Kunasik maintains is the team's responsibility.
I'm uncomfortable going beyond that and saying, you know, I'm, as a county supervisor, going to make a decision to tax the people of Maricopa County for a line of business that really is not ours.
By the way, Andy Kunasik is not running for re-election, so he may have felt free to say whatever he wanted. That reference to West Virginia, by the way, it was aimed at D-backs owner Ken Kendrick, who's from West Virginia, so clearly this has gotten personal. And as for the team's future, Derek Hall said Kunasik's comments may represent the board, and it will cause the team to move forward in a, quote, different direction. So this is far from over. Reporting live.
Wow, interesting stuff there.
You know what's really interesting, too? You probably could tell from that video. Andy Kunasik is very low-key. He's very mild-mannered. So to picture him, you know, yelling at Derek Hall in a parking structure is a little, you know, out of character, but he admits it happened. He's not saying, he's not denying it. But what happened was that Derek Hall was there with another member of the team management. So right after it happened, they huddled up and they said, "You write down what you heard, and I'm writing down what I." And so they kind of compared notes just to make sure, because it was, you know, it wasn't on the record, it wasn't recorded, but they wanted to like line up exactly what happened. And that's where those quotes came from. That Kunasik isn't denying. He's saying, "Yeah, I said it. I probably shouldn't have said it."
Wow.
He's saying he probably should have just handed the letter and walked away.
Yeah,
like
but
his
it got
plan
heated.
was. He got heated. Yeah, he says he's very passionate because this deals with taxpayer money, and he never wanted the stadium built in the first place. It was, you know, close to $400 million in money that the voters didn't have a chance to approve. It was just pushed through.
Sure.
And he's saying he didn't agree with it the first time. Now he certainly doesn't agree with, you know, more money to go to maintain it.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting. A lot of people are saying, you know, if the Diamondbacks do leave, what are we going to do with that? I mean, that's a huge centerpiece of.
Absolutely.
And it's built as a stadium. I mean, you could have concerts in there, I suppose, but it's, you know, it really is baseball built.
And did the D-backs say anything on if they did leave, where would they go?
They haven't yet, and
Okay.
I think part of that is, you know, part of the strategy. I think.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to bluff and say, you know, they from their point of view, they're giving the county plenty of time to come up with a solution, and they say that they've been working to come up with their own solution as well, not just leaving it on the county's, you know, table to say, you figure it out.
Sure.
They say that they're working with them, trying to come up with a deal that everybody can agree with, but that the county's really just kind of pushing back on it. And so
Wow.
that's what I think now we're getting to, like a standoff where somebody's going to have to blink. And it's getting kind of serious.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's hard to imagine Arizona without the Diamondbacks.
I know.
But there are probably plenty of other cities out there. I know municipally funded stadiums are not as, you know, a lot of people kind of look down on that,
Yeah.
but there are plenty of places that have been wanting a team
That's true.
that may pony up the money and give them brand new state-of-the-art. I think it's funny, though, when you talk about that this stadium, they're saying is outdated.
I
and
know,
it was
and
built
it's
in, I mean, most people
only
here
98,
remember when
right?
it opened. Yeah.
Yes.
Most people remember opening day.
Yeah.
And, you know, they talk about, like, Wrigley Field and, you know,
Boston, yeah, Fenway, and everything that's been in there for a century.
And I mean, that's part of the character of it,
Yeah.
you know. But who knows where this is going to go. But one of the, you know, the letter here at the end of it, as we talked about, it was Derek Hall saying that they may have to find a different direction to go in.
Wow.
So,
and unfortunately for the Diamondbacks, that this is the highlight of the season that we're talking about.
and they're not playing. well.
Yeah,
I mean,
they wish they was talking about, you know, on the diamond, but everything that's happening on news for the Diamondbacks has happened off the diamond.
yeah, right. And, you know, along those lines, some of the comments, I posted this on Twitter, and some of the comments people are saying is that, you know, if they're were doing well or playing well
Sure.
or bringing in the crowds, then they would have revenue that maybe they can afford to make
Yes.
these, and then you go spend all this money on like Zach Greinke,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
$200 and some million for the contract.
Yeah, and now we're on the hook now.
And now you're asking for money. I mean,
Yes.
it's like we said at the beginning, it's the optics of it all.
Sure.
It just kind of.
It's giving some people a bad taste in the mouth.
It is, yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds.
I
don't
know.
think it's going to die down anytime too quickly,
It
right?
won't, and I think Kunasik's under a little bit of pressure for what he did because he doesn't. He wrote this. This letter is on county letterhead.
Sure.
County board
Yeah.
of supervisors
Yes.
letterhead. And one of the things he says in here is, where he says baseball is a parasitic enterprise,
Wow.
which is well on its way to destroying its host. I mean, and then it says your questionable decisions on how to deploy the proceeds are galvanizing an already uncertain fan base against your effort to further burden the taxpayers. So it's almost like a personal letter, but it's written on county letterhead,
Yes.
which Derek Hall says makes this from the county board of supervisors,
Wow.
and then therefore you are speaking for the board.
Yeah.
Which, he may be in hot water over there
Sure.
for doing something like that, kind of stepping out of bounds from the channels that they normally go through.
Yes.
So it's going to be I don't want to say fun to watch. It'll be interesting.
It'll
to
be
watch
interesting.
'cause, we're talking about a lot of money. We're talking about taxpayer cash, and do people have the taste in their mouths to pay money to improve a stadium? All of Maricopa County taxpayers.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't know.
We will see.
Yeah.
And just think about it. Just 15 years ago, they won the World Series.
Right.
I know.
And back then, I mean, the stadium was so new, they
There's
didn't really need anything.
No, no. But
What I think one thing that they could have done or thought about is to put money aside for improvements, each year.
Sure, sure.
So you're not all of a sudden looking at a $65 million tab.
Yeah.
$5
Yeah,
million
that is
for
a big-
improvements
yeah.
each year or something, and then you have a pot of money that you can fix whatever you think needs fixing.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden it's it's like rebuilding a whole new house.
I just think it would be crazy if they moved out of there.
It's hard to imagine.
It's
Until today and until I read these letters, I really just thought, they'll reach some agreement.
Yeah.
They have to.
Oh,
right?
yeah. So it'll be interesting.
But if they, as big as these franchises are, and as if the owner or the team starts to feel like
Not
they're
wanted.
not wanted,
Yeah.
then it becomes personal.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
It becomes like, well, someone else is going to want us, and we'll just go there.
Sure.
It's like a relationship.
It is, yeah.
So-
It is. Maybe owners have a different kind of app that just owners.
Oh yeah,
where
that's right.
Yeah,
like a Tinder for baseball.
Yeah,
owners
Tinder
or
for
something?
baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look at
they'll
cities.
say that city wants us.
Yes.
Swipe right. Or
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. So, I wouldn't, start freaking out about it just yet if I was a Diamondbacks game.
Still
fan.
early in
And
their phase,
one
right?
thing, and they're go support the team. I mean,
Yeah.
regardless.
Go out there, even though they're having, a crummy year. They're going to bounce back eventually, and you're going to want to be there.
Right. Exactly.
So-
And while hopefully while we still can. And
Yes,
hopefully they're not
hopefully
going
while they're
anywhere.
there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark,
course.
for stopping by and
Sure.
giving us
yeah,
an
we'll have a little
update.
bit more on this in the 9:00 hour too, around 9:30, I think.
Great. All right.
Watch
Looking
some more.
forward to it.
Okay. Thanks,
okay.
Mike.
Yep. Thank you.
response we have to put together to combat Zika. So far, nearly 1,900 cases of Zika have been confirmed across the United States. Here, as you know, in Wynwood, we've seen the first cases of local transmission of the virus. And we are doing, as I heard, a lot here in the county and in the city to try to reach out to get more people to come in and be tested, particularly pregnant women. Just yesterday, a father wrote to me telling me that his wife is 23 weeks pregnant, and they were alarmed to discover that her office is in Wynwood. And of course, we told them to come here, come somewhere, get tested, don't be scared, get informed, find out, as I just heard from a woman that I met just a few minutes ago who is 4 months pregnant, find out what to do. Her test was negative, but there are additional precautions that need to be taken going forward to ensure a healthy baby. Just today, we heard the heartbreaking news that a baby girl born with Zika-related birth defects died in Houston. And so this is a serious challenge, and one that we need to be mobilized to address before it expands even further. I first learned about Zika last December. My daughter, who has a PhD in public health, was also pregnant at the same time. And she's the first one who said, this is a serious problem. Following the data from Brazil and South America. And she said, we need to get ahead of this disease because it's particularly dangerous for women, pregnant women, and their children. That's why, after hearing this from my daughter, I sent two of my close aides on a fact-finding mission to Puerto Rico, where more cases had developed. And as we know, the government there is under so much financial pressure. How were they going to deal with the challenge of Zika? I wanted to learn more and figure out what we could do to help Puerto Rico and what we could do more generally across our country. Right now, the most important thing is to follow the guidelines posted at cdc.gov/Zika. And I repeat that because, especially for the press, we don't want to unduly alarm people. We want people to become informed. And so please encourage your viewers, your readers, your listeners to go to cdc.gov/Zika. But we also need to get more resources and treat this as the public health challenge that it is. And that means we've got to have the funds that can then trickle down, Mayor, to the county here, can trickle down to the health center here, that everybody can be working together to combat and prevent the spread of Zika. I am very disappointed that the Congress went on recess before actually agreeing on what they would do to put the resources into this fight. And I really am hoping that they will pay attention. In fact, I would very much urge the leadership of Congress to call people back for a special session and get a bill passed. Get a bill that is focused on combating Zika passed. Then health departments, at local and state governments, everybody will know that there are resources coming forth, and they will be able to take action to try to prevent that. So I'm asking the Republican leaders in the House and the Senate to call Congress back into session immediately and to pass the bipartisan funding bill that the Senate passed. The Senate passed a bill. And unfortunately, a different bill was passed in the House, and no agreement could be reached before they went out on recess. So pass the bipartisan bill from the Senate, or come up with a new compromise that does the same and, in fact, tries to get those resources moving as quickly as possible. I disagree with those who say that Zika is an insignificant issue. My opponent in this race, his campaign officials have said that, and I think that does a grave disservice because when you come here to a health clinic that is working so hard to get people to come in, to get tested, working with the health departments, working with sanitation departments, working with people to try to go after and prevent the population of mosquitoes from growing. This is something we need to take seriously, and I certainly do. If we pass this critical funding, we can develop rapid diagnostic testing and treatment and even begin the hard work of developing a vaccine. And we shouldn't rest until we get that done. You know, this is always a problem on the brink of a public health challenge. If it hasn't happened to you, it hasn't happened to somebody you know, it's hard sometimes to get people mobilized. But this is an epidemic that will only grow and affect more people. I really appreciate something that when we were discussing with the doctors and administrators, Dr. Marty said, you know, if you prevent yourself from being bitten by a mosquito, you prevent a mosquito from reproducing. So everybody has a role in this. You may not be a pregnant woman or even any longer possibly being a pregnant woman, but you could be a person bitten by a mosquito, and you could then have it transmitted to you or transmitted to someone from you. So everybody has a stake in this, and that's really why I'm here, to underscore that. We don't want to wake up in a year and read so many more stories about babies like the little girl who just died in Houston. That is just not something we should tolerate in our country. So again, I want to thank the staff here and their partners, the university at FIU and University of Miami and others who are really focused on this. And I also just want to underscore, we need a public health system that really works for everybody, because with changes in climate, more and more diseases are going to find their way right here to the United States that before we did not see. With mobility, as easy as it is around the world, as we saw with Ebola, diseases are going to find their way here. So this is one of the canaries in the mine. If we don't deal with Zika, we will have consequences. But if we don't deal with the bigger issue of making sure we have the premier public health system in the world, which is what we should be providing for the people who live in our country, and it will then set the gold standard for what happens everywhere else, we're missing a great opportunity to keep our people healthy and to deal with a lot of the diseases that unfortunately are going to be coming our way. So again, let me thank everyone here at the center and thank all of you for coming today, and thank you for the work you do every day to keep people healthy. Thank you all.
Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you. She's such a public health fanatic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
You've got an economy that is now being called the Carolina comeback. And that economy is based on the principles that you will hear today from Donald Trump. It's based on common sense Republican principles of growth, low taxes, low regulations, put money back in your pockets, instead of having the government take it from you. That's what Pat McCrory has done. That's what Donald Trump will do. So I know Pat for a long time. I knew him when he was mayor. He was one of the best mayors in the United States, and now he's the best governor, and he's a good friend, and you're lucky to have him. So in November, when you elect Donald Trump president of the United States, re-elect Pat McCrory. You know, I've campaigned a lot. I ran for president. I campaigned for John McCain, and I've campaigned for George Bush, and I campaigned for Mitt Romney, and I've campaigned for Pat, and I've campaigned for myself, and I have never seen a crowd like this. This is unbelievable. And by the way, there are more of you outside than inside. I'm sorry. I imagine no one called you up about a poll, right? So let's have a poll. How many are for Donald Trump? How many are for Hillary Clinton? No. Here's why we're here today. We're here today to beat her and keep her out of Washington. We're here today because we all want to be part of this movement. We all want to be. This is historic, what's going on. This is a real revolution. It reminds me of the revolution that Ronald Reagan brought about in 1980. It's a peaceful revolution, but it's a revolution nonetheless. We want to kick out of Washington all those insiders who have been controlling the government for their benefit and have been hurting you for years. It's a tight little crowd in Washington. I worked there for President Ford and for President Reagan. It's a tight little crowd in Washington, and they protect each other. Now, and they don't care about you, they care about themselves. They go into government. They go into government. They come out of government. They go into government. They make a lot of money. And they take a lot of your money. And Hillary Clinton wants to take more of your money. Hillary Clinton is the bought and paid for candidate of the Washington establishment. She is part of the Washington rigged system that excludes all these good people in Wilmington, North Carolina, and in places like Wilmington, North Carolina. She doesn't care about you. She cares about the $150,000, $200,000 speeches that she gives to Wall Street. She's thinking about the $1.2 million that UBS gave Bill Clinton when she made a call to the IRS to try to help UBS. In the old days when I was a prosecutor, you went to jail for that. You think... No. But you know what we have now is timing is everything in politics, and timing has always been the most important thing for our country. This is the right time for a man like Donald Trump. This is what we need right now. We need a man who isn't bought and paid for. We need a man who's been enormously successful in business. We've already tried one who wasn't. And look what we have. We got 70% of the American people believing we're going in the wrong direction. Well, you elected somebody who hadn't done anything in his life. He never built a building. He never created a project. He never built a golf course. He never built a tremendous worldwide business. Well, this is what we need right now. We need a man who has done those things. And I can tell you this from reforming New York City. We need somebody to come in with a broom and clean the damn place out. Clean it out. Hillary Clinton. No one owns Donald Trump. He is running because he loves America, because he appreciates what America has made possible for him and his beautiful family, and he wants the same thing for you. He wants to be your voice in Washington because you don't have a voice. Hillary Clinton has been bought and paid for by the lobbyists, the special interests. Donald Trump will stand for you. He'll be your advocate. He'll be your champion. He'll be your voice. He is going to lower taxes on everyone. Now you say, well, why lower taxes on the rich? First of all, his biggest tax reductions are going to be for the middle class. But going to be for you. But why do you lower taxes on the rich? You know why? Because if you lower taxes on the rich, they produce jobs for the poor and the middle class. And the poor become the middle class, and the middle class become the rich. That's what America is about. We are not a socialist country. We are not a socialist country. He's going to cut the corporate tax from 35% to 15%. Do you know how much money that's going to bring back to this country? All she wants to do is raise taxes. And as she said a few days ago, in the only truthful statement she's made during this campaign, maybe the only truthful statement she ever made, she said, getting a little carried away in a speech, I'm going to raise taxes on the middle class. You're darn right she's going to raise taxes on the middle class, because you can't raise enough money from the rich to pay for the billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars that she just wants to give to people. We don't want to hand things to people. We want to put out our hand and help them. Today it was revealed that some of those Hillary Clinton emails contain the name of a man named Amari. Amari was executed by the Iranians several days ago. Remember, Hillary told us there was no top secret information on her emails? Remember she told us that? Well, she lied. And I don't know the connection between that and the death of Mr. Amari, but what I do know is it put a lot more attention on him when they found those emails. It put a lot more attention on him. It certainly put him at great risk, even if they didn't find them. And it shows you that when the director of the FBI said she was extremely careless, he was being kind. If I used to be a U.S. attorney, if she applied for a job as a U.S. attorney with me, I wouldn't be able to hire her. You know why? She wouldn't pass an FBI background check because she was extremely careless with national security information. And they're questioning Donald Trump's temperament, Donald Trump's ability to handle our national security. No one's found him extremely careless in the handling of anything, much less national security information. He didn't have the name of a person in the witness protection program that was exposed for the world to see, a man who got killed. So we have a candidate. He's going to explain his program on the economy, and I'm going to conclude by telling you a few things that you also should know. He's going to expand our military. She will continue Obama's policy of shrinking our military to pre-World War II levels. He will take care of our veterans. She can't. You know why she can't? Because she's bought and paid for by the unions that control the VA hospitals. Shouldn't every veteran have a card where they can go to any hospital they want in order to get the treatment they need? Shouldn't they? You know why she's against it? Because she's bought and paid for by the union that controls those hospitals. Just like she won't give you school choice because she's bought and paid for by the teachers union. And I could go on and on. So many people have bought and paid for her. There's nothing left. There's no Hillary left. Donald Trump is pro-military. He's pro-police. He's pro-law and order. And she is just the opposite. Do you know that she excluded uniformed police officers from the Democratic National Convention floor? Do you know that? They were embarrassed to have men in uniform and women in uniform on the floor of that convention. She's refused to submit an application for an endorsement by the Fraternal Order of Police. So when I say that Donald Trump is pro-police and she is not, I know what I'm talking about. And I remember her as a senator in New York and what she used to do with the police. Same thing. Don't want the police around me. This woman is anti-military. She's anti-police. She is anti-growth economy. Donald Trump is just the opposite. He's for a growth economy. He's going to put money in your pocket. She's going to take it out of your pocket. Here's the one thing I want you to listen for, because this is why you should vote for him. Most important. Donald Trump gets the establishment nervous. They're shaking. I can see them on television. Look, they're mostly Democrats, but he's got a couple of those Republicans shaking too. It's not, look, neither party has a monopoly on virtue or vice. We got a lot of good people. We got a couple, they got some good people. They got a lot of, but the establishment on both sides of the aisle, they're shaking. And you know what? They should be, because when he becomes president of the United States, he's going to do one thing and one thing alone. He's going to represent you, not them. He will be your voice, your champion, your advocate, my good friend, and the next president of the United States of America, Donald Trump.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So amazing. Rudy just left. He just said, I don't believe this. This is unbelievable. Nobody believes it. The crowds we're getting, I'm the messenger, but I'll tell you what, the message is the right message. We're tired of incompetence. We're tired of not taking care of our military. We're tired of not taking care of our vets who are being taken care of very poorly. We're tired of so many different things, and this is what happens. So our mayor, my friend Rudy Giuliani, just walks out. I'm telling you, he said, I don't believe this. This is incredible. And what he hasn't seen, and your governor, by the way, who's a great guy, and he's now seeing it, they're walking outside because there are thousands of people outside that can't get in. I said, Rudy, you think this is bad? Go take a look outside. So I just want to thank Pat and Rudy, and I want to thank everybody for being here. And we're going to have a good time. We love North Carolina. We love North Carolina. We did really well in the primaries, if you remember, and I hear we're doing really well now. We have to win. That November 8th date is so important. It's so important. You know, I bring things up like the judges, right? Supreme Court justices. We have to get, you know, you could have as many as 4. I guess there's a scenario in which this president could pick 5 Supreme Court justices. And if you pick 2 that are left, it's going to be a disaster for our country. Your Second Amendment, the National Rifle Association endorsed me, and they endorsed me early, long time ago. And they're great people. Wayne and Chris, they're great people. But if you do something with these, I'll tell you what, justices right now, you lost a great one with Scalia. We want to replace with justices very much like Justice Scalia, and that's going to happen, and it's so important. So if for no other reason, I mean, it's such an important, one of the most important elections for a lot of reasons, not just that, but for a lot of reasons. But that's so obvious, because for whatever reason, they say this could be the presidency, this next 4 years, where you'll pick more Supreme Court justices than anybody has ever had the opportunity to do. And believe me, I'll make you very proud of those justices. They'll be great. Okay? So we had an incident a few days ago with the 400 million all cash, right? 400 million all cash. Anybody know what that looks like? That's a lot of cash. That's a lot of cash. And honestly, it's so sad. Think of it. Going to Iran, a terror state. Now, I happen to think they have plenty of money. They've got we've given him 150 billion, so the 400 million is just, you know. I happen to think it goes into their accounts in Switzerland, personally. Now, a lot of people say, no, it's used for terror, and they use it for terror. Sure. Because it's the #1 terror funder, not even close. But I also think that when you have 400 million in cash, different denominations, you see the size of this? They did, I guess, release the pictures, after all. They released pictures. And interesting, I'll tell you, I sort of think it goes into bank accounts, right? You know, I sort of think they take it, they probably use some for this, some for that. Can do a lot of things. And Obama said that he did it because we don't have a working account with Iran. Do you believe it? How long does it take to set up an account? Right? You don't have a working account, you set up an account, right, Laura? You set up an account. It takes about look, what's going on in this country, folks, what's going on in this country is insane. And we have people running our country that don't know what they're doing. They're grossly incompetent. And it's time. I mean, we have to make change, real change, not Obama change. We have to make change. Whether it's Sergeant Bergdahl, where we get Bergdahl, who was a traitor, and they get 5 of the greatest killers that they've wanted for 8 years. We get Bergdahl. I call it the 5-for-1 trade. Or the Iran deal, where we get nothing. We get nothing. They get, ultimately, they have the path, beautiful path. They'll get way, way earlier than that. They'll get nuclear weapons. So if you get Trump, you're going to see a lot of changes to that deal. It's going to happen fast. You're going to see some big changes. And what really, I mean, I saw where President Obama said that the $400 million in cash had nothing to do with the release of the hostages, right? It really doesn't work, does it? Does it? I mean, remember Obamacare? You're going to keep your doctor, you're going to keep your plan. Over and over again, you're going to keep your doctor. It was a lie. And in fact, if he didn't make the lie, he would have never gotten it approved, because most Democrats, many of the Democrats didn't want to do it. It was only that got them to sign it and to approve it. And it was a lie. And the $400 million, and from what the rumor is and from what the reports are, the hostages couldn't leave the airport until this other plane arrived. They don't know why, but I think we all have a pretty good reason why. It's all a big lie. It's all a big lie, and it's so sad to see. And let me tell you, Hillary Clinton is going to be 4 more years of Obama, but maybe worse. Maybe worse. It's going to be 4 more years. 4 more years of ISIS, 4 more years of high taxes. You know, yesterday I had a big event, really. It turned out to be a very big event in Detroit. And good event. Very good. And we got wonderful reviews and a lot of good comments. But the thing I'm doing, I'm cutting taxes big league, especially for the middle class and especially for businesses. Because businesses are dying, and that means small businesses, period. Businesses are leaving our country like they've never left before. They're going all over. They're going to Mexico, that I can tell you. Mexico is like the 8th wonder of the world. You know, I've been telling a story, a friend of mine, good friend of mine, good guy. He builds plants. He builds plants for cars, for computers, for, you know, where they make them, massive plants. And I said to him, how are you doing? And he's worked in North Carolina, by the way. I said to him, how are you doing? He said, phenomenal. It's like, I think, the biggest in the world at this. That's what he does. Great guy. I said, how's it all going? He said, you got to see Mexico, Donald. It's the 8th wonder of the world. What we're building there is like never has been built. We've never seen anything like it. And I said, how are we doing in the United States? I'm more interested in that. Okay, if it's okay, I guess, right? We're allowed to, you know, America first, folks. America first. America first. Right? America first. America first. We get a little tired of these deals where they actually put, and you know why? Because of lobbyists and special interests and people representing and people wanting it to happen. It's just not that they want other countries to benefit over us. There are reasons for it. And you know, when I raise money, and I'm putting up a lot of money for my own campaign, I'm funding me. And I'm raising money for the Republican Party. And we're getting a lot of money from the small donors. Remember 2 months ago, I hadn't started. I wanted to make sure I get the nomination before I start, right? Let me get the nomination, please. And then I took a lot of heat from the press, the world's most dishonest people, by the way. And terrible. Terrible. Those cameras will not move and show how many people are in this auditorium. Those cameras are not going to move unless we have a protester. Is there a protester up there in the corner? Any protester? If we had a protest, that's the only time they move, because they're showing something that in their mind is a bad thing. So then they move. But I like that. I've always liked my protesters because the cameras show these massive crowds and people say, wow, was that a big crowd? You know, I go home to my wife. I say, how's it going? She goes, darling, your speech was very good. Were there many people there? I say, yeah, about 7,000. That's a small group. It's only confined. I mean, you had to see outside. I felt so badly. I came up, thank you, and I love you too. Who said that? Who said that, huh? Thank you, thank you. But I came up with Rudy from New York, and we're driving up, and we're going block after block after block, the line. And I said, are those people going to be able to get in? They said, the place is already full. And Rudy just said, man, I've never seen anything like that. Maybe a couple of days before an election. But this is what's happening. Because of the fact we have a movement going, folks. Because people are so tired of it. They're so tired of it. So, and by the way, voter ID, what's with that? What's with voter ID? Why aren't we having voter ID? In other words, I want to vote, here's my identification, I want to vote, as opposed to somebody coming up and voting 15 times for Hillary. Well, and I will not tell you to vote 15 times. I will not tell you to do that. Okay? You won't vote 15 times. But people will. They'll vote many times. And how that could have happened is unbelievable. And the governor just told me that they're going before the United States Supreme Court, Justice Roberts, and maybe they can get a stay. Let's see what happens, okay? Let's see what happens. That's a very important thing. But I wrote a few things down, and to me, so important. Yes, darling, thank you. Unstable Hillary lacks the judgment. Now, Bernie Sanders said she lacks judgment, right? And nobody said anything about it, no problem. He said, you lack judgment. And during one of the debates, nobody said, it was fine. When I say it, they say, that's terrible the way you talk. I say, she does, she lacks judgment. She lacks temperament, and I'm the one that used unfit many months ago. And now they turn it around, use it on me. Unfit? I'm unfit? That's a first. But she lacks the temperament and the moral character to lead this country. It's very simple. She really does. She's a dangerous person who doesn't tell the truth, which has been proven very loudly. I've never seen I don't think we've ever had greater proof of that, of anybody. And she's disregarded the lives of Americans. You see what's happening with what she's done with her server. And you know why she did that. So I just look at this, and I said that if she gets elected, she will cause the destruction of this country from within. Remember that. Remember that. She will allow people into our country that will do damage. They will do damage, folks. You look at what's going on in the world. Look at France. Take a good look at France. I have friends that go to France. They used to love France. They say, no, thank you. They don't expect to be going back anytime for a long time. I have one friend, I said, how was your trip this year to France? He said, France isn't France anymore. We're not going. And so many people are saying that. Look at what's going on with Germany. Look at what's happening with Germany. Look at the crime. Look at the problems. We have enough problems in our country right now. We don't need additional problems, folks. We don't need additional problems. And for all we know, this could be the great Trojan horse. This could be. We don't know who these people are. Now, they're coming in through Obama, and I looked at a chart yesterday, and it's like for years, it's sort of like this, a little uptick, and the last period of time, it's like, wah, wah, wah. I have never seen anything like it. They're letting them in, and again, you can't vet them. You don't know where they come from. We don't know. Look at the damage that two people in San Bernardino probably radicalized the guy, the woman coming in. Look at the damage in Orlando. Look at the damage that was done in Orlando by one whack job, one sick whack job. And you know what he was screaming? He's screaming what they all scream. And we have to get smart, folks. We don't need the problems. And we've already got those problems, just so you understand. Because they're coming into the country and they're being put where nobody even knows where they are. It's like, if I were the enemy, I would say, I can't believe they're that stupid. They're taking my people and they're putting them all over the place. Because you have great military right here. And our military... Our military cannot be beaten. But you know what can happen? When we don't know where they are, where they're coming from, you get them all over the place. And folks, it's some. You don't need many. You don't need many. One person in Orlando, two people. Look at in France, 130. Now they have the strictest gun laws anywhere in the world. France, Paris, 130 people killed. 130. And I've said 100 times, if this man or if this woman or if that woman or man had a gun in Paris or in San Bernardino and the bullets were flying in the other direction, would have been a whole different story, folks. Would have been a whole different. For those foolish people that say Second Amendment, would have been a whole different story. I'll go a step further. If these people, bad, sick people, if these people knew there were guns in the good guys' hands, right, they probably wouldn't have gone in the first place, all right? All right? Gun-free. What Turnberry and played golf, okay? So I had to start under Obama, because Clinton is going to carry on. You know, I don't know if you saw, I gave a massive tax decrease yesterday, and regulations, we're going to get rid of so many of them. But Clinton is going to double your taxes. She's going to double up your taxes. And she's trying to say, well, I don't like Trump's plan. She's going to double up your taxes. You're going to have massive tax increases if Clinton gets in. Enjoy it, folks, if that happens. 58% of African-American youth are not employed. How sad is that? American households are earning $4,000 less, listen to this one, today than they were 16 years ago. Many workers are earning less than 1970 in real dollars. So 1970, it's a long time ago, right? They're earning in real dollars less money. So under my plan, we're going to create millions of new and really good-paying jobs. You know, it's interesting, because even the pro-Obama people say about the jobs, that they're bad jobs. I've heard it from many of the people. They're trying to defend him, but they say they're bad jobs. They're not good jobs. The good jobs have left. But we'll create millions of new good-paying jobs, but good jobs. It's so important. It's so important. Everyone's taxes will go down. Hillary Clinton has supported tax increases on the middle class for her entire career. She's voted for higher taxes 235 times in the Senate. That's all? I thought it was more than that. 235 times. I hope there's not a decimal point in there, so 23.5 times. But I don't think there is. Voted for higher taxes 235 times in the Senate. Now she's planning another job-killing $1.3 trillion tax increase. That's what her tax increase is going to be, folks. Like you're not paying enough, right? Her plan will tax many small businesses who are already in deep trouble out of business. Then we will make, and this is so important, this was an Ivanka Trump, okay? My daughter, so great. So great. We're going to make child care expenses tax deductible for working families. And just many, many other things. I mean, we're going to make some unbelievable changes. And it's so easy. Again, you know, regulations, I'm traveling all over, and I'm meeting with business owners, and beyond business owners, even people that work at the businesses. They're being laid off because of it. Regulations. If I told you, and I'm so surprised, this is probably the biggest surprise, if you have a small business, and I said you can have one or the other, a major tax cut like we're going to, you know, we're bringing it down to 15% from much more than double that. But if I told you that you could have a massive tax decrease or really substantially, but in a real way, cut regulation, 100% of the people I talk to would take the regulation if you could only have one or the other. It's amazing. It's amazing. And that surprised me. Surprised you too. Surprised them too. 100%. I mean, everybody, businesses can't form anymore. The regulatory burden is so incredible that you can't form businesses, very hard. And businesses that are in existence are being put out of existence for regulations that don't do anything. We want safety regulations. We want environmental regulations. We're not, you know, people that don't want these things. We have to have that. We want clean air. We want clean water. We want clean water. But to do that, and there are certain things that you want to do, but to do that, you don't have to destroy our country and destroy our businesses. So, you know, I just wrote this down today. Hillary wants to raise taxes. It's a comparison. I want to lower them. Hillary wants to expand regulations, which she does bigly. Can you believe that? I will reduce them very, very substantially. Could be as much as 70, 75%. Hillary wants to shut down energy production. I want to expand it. Lower electric bills, folks. Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But
all right, everybody, that is going to end the Fox 10 News Now stream on this Tuesday evening, August 9th, 2016. We appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you tomorrow starting at 9 a.m.